Actually, the focus of this brief presentation will be on one of the documents that we have with the title, the vision and the agenda. Because when the People's Primaries was launched on June 30 at the AIM, it had three goals, no? In order to transform Philippine politics. The first one was to have a people's presidential candidate, subsequently a full slate. But you just cannot have the drivers of the vehicles without the direction as to where this vehicle is going, where is the country going. So therefore the vision and the agenda was a second output. And of course the political vehicle by which the candidate, the agenda, and what would be accredited with the COMELEC to actually contest the 2010 election. Those were all parts of the People's Primaries component. So what we have distributed a document that is a product of 20 years of consultations with people's organizations all over the country in 13 regions, and it also incorporates the inputs more recently generated by the Ateneo School of Government, involving 100 organizations called the Citizens Reform Agenda for the 2010. And lastly, it includes elements from the Green Convergence State of the Nation address. No? Please give out copies.
Dito lang meron. Yung ginawa ng Ateneo wala.
Vision. Yeah, an agenda. So I have it here as a PowerPoint. So if you will take a look at the document, we are all looking for transformative politics, and it's important to identify the essence of the transformation. Transformation means going from point A to a different state to transform. So enhanced in the vision is a particular organizing principle. In other words, a country organizes its people and its resources to create certain systems. So we look at subsidiarity as an organizing principle for Philippine Renewal. And elections, especially national elections, is an opportunity for national renewal. And so we're looking, what we want is a change of crew and a change of direction. And elections is all about capturing the bureaucracy. A bureaucracy that controls 1.4 trillion pesos of our taxes. It controls so many appointed positions. Because of our centralized nature, it even controls the 1,700 local government units. So, how do the traditional parties capture the bureaucracy? Through an election, both getting machinery, very important to get local candidate tie-ups, all those media ads that we're being bombarded with, team up with some faith-based groups, some of them do block voting, and then there are also other blocks. And then once you have the machinery and you're facing up with the voters, you start to cajole them, develop patronage mechanisms, money begins to flow. For those who really want your opponent, then you threaten them, you deal with illusion, personal promises, and then in the last 3 days, subterfuge. So what we're looking at is a political culture of parties organizing their state from the top, determined by very few people, and creating a machinery downwards that will get the vote so that that person or party can capture the bureaucracy. And so we're really looking at a organizing principle in our political exercise that deals with this organizing principle that we can term as superiority. Merong bossing. May mga bossing sa taas. At yung kanilang decision, yun ang masusunod sa baba. Kung senator, slate, vice president, sino magiging governor candidate, for all of that, those are trickle-down decisions. The organization has to be commanded and controlled. You play on people's greed, and you look at the sectoral income versus the essence of people's primaries, the subsidiarity concept of getting candidates from below, from participation of people as through a primary process, consensus and coordination, action that serves the common good, and looking at how the community itself is progressing from any particular process. Well, an organizing principle is like a tree. And you know, if the fruit is good, then you know that it had to come from a good tree. If the fruit is bad, then you know it had to come from a bad tree. And the question we can ask is, if the Philippines is full of bad fruit, then it's likely because of a bad tree. And just to give you some examples of the underlying organizing principle in the vision document that we have distributed, the bad tree has created a wide gulf between the massa and the elite, and builds communication barriers, rendering both socially ineffective. Our legal system is largely copied from our colonizers. Our main laws were brought in, copied from the Spanish and American legal systems. Unlike countries in Asia like Japan, that's built up their legal system by codifying local traditions and updating that based on modern and humane things. No? If you look at our urban development, we see really the trickle-down impact of mega developers building enclaves. Much of the built-up landscape we see is not a result of serious zoning, serious people's consultation with how the physical environment should look. Instead, you see initiatives from big developers that use their power to create our urban landscape. Waste disposal, notwithstanding laws that call for the ground-up way of waste